welcome to the Deep Dive. We are really glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Before we jump into the material, let's just set the stage for how we're going to handle this conversation.
Right, a quick persona check.
Exactly. Because we know you are actively working on improving your English skills, we're keeping the pacing comfortable today. We'll use simple, clear words.
So you won't need to pause and grab a dictionary every 5 minutes.
No, not at all. Just sit back, relax, and absorb the ideas we're talking about.
That is the perfect approach. I mean, we want this to be a useful tool, not some kind of stress test.
So let's look at the topic we have on the table today. We're exploring a 3-part source material from a mini-series called Easy Talk English.
Which is fantastic, by the way.
It really is. It's an English podcast for learning English, and the focus is pretty bold. The title is literally, "This Video Will Change Your Life."
A big promise.
A huge promise. But it earns it by breaking down the real-life struggles of language learners.
And the overarching mission of our deep dive today is to extract the really good stuff from those sources. We're looking for the psychological tricks, the daily micro-habits.
The environmental strategies?
Yes, exactly. The things that can literally transform you from a silent learner into a confident speaker.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the #1 challenge that almost every single learner faces.
Fear of speaking.
The fear of speaking. It's wild because you see people who can read complex books or follow movies in English perfectly fine.
Right.
But the moment they actually have to open their mouths...
Complete shutdown.
Yeah. The source material shares this really relatable anecdote about that. Picture a tourist standing in a local cafe.
Oh, this is such a classic scenario.
It is. So he's clearly a student. He's got his phone out. He's studied the menu. He knows all the vocabulary for coffee, milk, sugar, all the sizes.
He is totally prepared.
100% prepared. But then it's his turn. He steps up to the counter, and the barista just simply smiles and asks, "Hi, what can I get for you?"
What's fascinating here is what happens next, which is a completely standard question, by the way.
Totally normal. But the tourist just completely freezes.
Yeah.
His heart rate probably spikes, palms sweating, he can't get a single word out. All that studying, and he's just frozen.
What's fascinating here is the psychology behind that exact moment. It's a very well-documented experience known as language anxiety.
Language anxiety.
Right. When you are in a high-pressure situation, it's as if your brain takes all your English vocabulary and locks it inside a heavy steel box.
Oh.
The words are in there, you know them. But because someone is staring at you, waiting for an answer, your brain triggers a fight-or-flight response.
So you literally lose the key to the box.
Exactly. You just can't access the words. And the sources point out that a massive trigger for this anxiety is something called the perfection trap.
The perfection trap. That sounds heavy. What's actually happening in the learner's mind there?
Well, the trap is entirely internal. It's that nagging inner voice telling you everything has to be flawless.
I see.
It falsely convinces you that if you use the wrong verb tense or mispronounce one vowel, the native speaker is going to judge you.
Like they're going to laugh at you.
Right. It makes you believe people will think you aren't intelligent just because of a small grammar mistake.
Which is so unfair. I suspect a lot of that fear comes from traditional school setting.
Oh, absolutely.
In a classroom, you take a test, and if you use the wrong preposition, you get a big red X. You are literally penalized for mistakes.
That's a crucial distinction. School conditions us to fear errors. But the source provides this key insight that completely shatters that fear.
Oh, the quote about communication.
Yes. They state that communication is about connection, not correction.
Communication is about connection, not correction. I love that. It completely reframes the whole issue.
It does. Because in the real world, that barista doesn't have a red pen.
Right.
They aren't grading your grammar. They just want to know if you want oat milk or regular milk. They just want to connect with your request.
And honestly, native English speakers stumble through their own language all the time anyway.
All the time.
We use the wrong words. We say, and while we search for a thought, we restart sentences. The person listening doesn't care if you say, "I go to store yesterday."
Exactly. They understand the timeline. They just want to know what you bought.
Right. So looking at how conversations actually flow, this perfectionism leads to another massive barrier mentioned in the texts.
Mental translation.
Mental translation. I've seen learners really struggle with this one.
It's a very common defense mechanism. It's when you try to build a perfect, beautiful sentence in your native language first.
You get it perfectly organized in your head.
Yep. You make sure the grammar is flawless in your mother tongue, and then you try to translate every single word one by one into English.
Before you even allow yourself to open your mouth.
Exactly. The expert in the source uses a great analogy for this. They say it's like trying to catch a bus that has already left.
Oh, that's good.
A real conversation is always moving forward, just like a bus. If you pause the conversation to mentally translate your perfect 10-word sentence, it takes a lot of time.
Your brain is doing gymnastics.
Right. By the time your perfect sentence is finally ready, the conversation has moved on.
The bus is 2 blocks away.
Exactly. And your comment doesn't make sense anymore. You missed your chance entirely because you were trying to be flawless.
So letting go of that need for a perfect translation is the only way to actually join the flow.
The only way.
Let's do a quick vocabulary spotlight here. Emily, the vocabulary guest from the text, highlights a few real-life phrases.
Oh, yes.
The first one goes back to our tourist, freeze up.
To freeze up.
When you freeze up, it means you become so overwhelmed with nervousness that your body and mind just temporarily stop working, paralyzed by pressure.
And the counter to that silence is her second phrase, which is to break the ice.
Break the ice.
Right. To break the ice means to do something small that makes people feel relaxed in a tense situation. Like asking a stranger, have you been waiting long?
It shatters the awkward silence.
Exactly. It starts the connection.
Okay, so letting go of perfectionism and breaking the ice is great in theory, but it leaves us with a very practical problem.
How do you actually start?
Exactly. How do you start speaking if you're terrified and out of practice? The sources make it clear it's not about making one giant leap.
No, you don't just wake up tomorrow and deliver a flawless presentation. That brings in a highly effective strategy known as the 1% rule.
The 1% rule. The math behind this concept always fascinates me. How does it apply to language learning?
Well, the rule suggests that if you improve your skills by just 1% every single day, the results compound.
Like interest in a bank account.
Precisely. It's a small, almost unnoticeable daily effort. But by the end of 1 year, that daily 1% compounding makes you 37 times better than when you started.
37 times better. That is incredible. And it completely removes the heavy pressure of traditional studying.
You don't need to lock yourself in a room and memorize 100 vocabulary words in an afternoon.
Which usually just leads to burnout anyway.
Right. You just need to be a tiny fraction better today than you were yesterday.
So how do we actually achieve that 1% growth? The sources suggest some very specific micro habits.
The first one is called self-talk, or the daily monologue.
The daily monologue.
It's the practice of talking out loud to yourself in English with zero pressure.
Okay, I can see how that helps in theory, but I have to play the skeptic for a second.
Go for it.
Doesn't it feel a little ridiculous to just talk to yourself? The text uses the example of narrating your actions in the kitchen.
Like you're on a cooking show.
Right. Saying out loud, I'm opening the fridge, I'm grabbing the milk, I am cracking the eggs. I would feel really self-conscious doing that alone in my house.
Oh, it definitely feels awkward at first. But pushing past that silly feeling is the whole point.
Okay.
When you do this in the kitchen, you are alone. As the source humorously points out, the eggs aren't going to judge your grammar.
That's true. The eggs do not care.
The milk doesn't care about your verb tense. The lack of an audience removes the language anxiety we talked about earlier.
Ah, I get it. So you're physically training your brain to link English words to real-world actions.
Yes. Without the pressure of a native speaker staring at you, you get your mouth used to making the physical shapes of the words.
Which naturally leads right into habit 2 from the sources.
Shadowing.
Shadowing. What is that exactly?
It takes that physical practice a step further. It's a technique where you listen to an audio clip of a native speaker and you repeat what they say almost simultaneously.
So you follow right behind them, like a shadow.
Exactly. But there's a big difference between shadowing and just reading out loud like a robot.
Right, because you aren't just reading words off a page.
No, when you truly shadow someone, you copy their exact speed, you mimic their pauses, you copy the emotion and the pitch of their voice.
The text uses a great example phrase for this. Learning English is a journey, not a race.
Notice how your voice naturally rises and falls when you say that.
Learning English is a journey, not a race.
Yeah, it goes up and down. That's called intonation. English isn't a flat language. It has peaks and valleys. By shadowing, you're absorbing the actual music of the language.
The rhythm of how native speakers actually sound.
Right, rather than how a textbook tells you they sound.
Let's bring in Emily again for another vocabulary spotlight. Our first phrase here is finding your go-to.
A go-to.
A go-to is your reliable favorite option, the one you choose without thinking because you trust it. Like listening to a deep dive might be your go-to method for practicing listening.
And our second phrase is Muscle memory.
Yes, muscle memory is huge here.
When you push past the awkwardness of self-talk or practice shadowing, you're building muscle memory.
You are physically training the muscles in your mouth, your tongue, and your brain to produce English automatically.
So you don't have to think about the physical act of speaking anymore. It's like going to the gym, but for your vocal cords.
And consistent 1% daily habits build that muscle memory over time. But moving into section 3 of our sources.
This is a really important shift.
It is. Having good habits is great, but the final section makes a really interesting claim. Habits alone are not enough. We have to actively design our environment.
The sources use a beautiful seed analogy to explain this.
Walk us through it.
Think of a language learner as a seed. You might be the greatest seed in the world, packed with incredible potential. But if someone plants you in dry soil with no sunlight, you won't grow.
Right.
Your daily habits need the right surrounding environment to flourish.
So what makes for bad soil in this analogy?
Relying exclusively on grammar books.
Ah, the classic trap.
We study the books, memorize the complex rules, pass the written tests, but remain terrified to actually speak. Why? Because, as the text simply puts it, books don't talk back.
Books don't talk back. That makes so much sense.
It's like reading a manual about how to swim. You can sit on your couch and memorize the mechanics of a flutter kick.
You can understand the exact angle your arm needs to be.
Right. But reading about swimming does not mean you're ready to jump into the deep end of a pool.
The moment the cold water hits your face, panic sets in. The theory goes out the window.
Exactly. So if the real world is the deep end of the pool, how do we practice getting into the water safely?
We create what the sources call low-stakes environments.
Low-stakes environments. A safe, controlled space where it is 100% okay to fail.
Zero negative consequences if you mess up, stammer, or use the wrong word.
And the sources share an incredible modern tip for creating these spaces, using AI language partners.
Like an app on your phone.
Yes, to have an actual spoken conversation with an AI, it's a revolutionary tool for language anxiety.
Because an AI doesn't get tired.
It doesn't judge your accent. It doesn't impatiently look at its watch while you try to remember a word.
But does talking to a robot really prepare you for a human? What if I make a mistake? Does it feel like real practice?
It prepares you because it removes the fear of judgment while still requiring you to formulate organic responses.
The example the text uses is returning a bowl of cold soup at a restaurant.
Which is a terrifying situation for a language learner.
Truly terrifying. You have to be polite, but firm in a second language with a busy waiter.
But with an AI partner, you can practice that exact confrontation. You can say, "Excuse me, my soup is cold," 20 times over.
So by the time it happens in a real restaurant, it's no longer a scary, unknown event.
Right. You've already lived it 20 times. It turns the unknown into the known.
The biological side of this whole process is what really caught my eye. They bring up something called the reticular activating system.
The RAS.
Yes, the RAS. How exactly does that act as a filter for language learning?
To understand the RAS, think about a non-language example first.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever bought a new car, let's say a red car, and suddenly you see that exact same red car everywhere you drive?
Oh yeah, all the time. It feels like everyone bought one on the same day.
The cars were always there, but your brain used to ignore them. That's your RAS at work.
Okay.
It's a biological filter at the base of your brain. Every second, millions of pieces of sensory information hit your brain.
If you noticed all of it, you'd be overwhelmed.
Exactly. So the RAS filters out the unimportant background noise and highlights what you've told it is important, like your new red car.
So how do we apply that filter to English vocabulary?
Through a habit called active listening.
Like listening to this deep dive right now without reading any subtitles?
Exactly. That triggers the RAS filter. Once you learn a new vocabulary word and actively focus your attention on it, your RAS sends a message to your conscious brain.
It says, hey, pay attention to this word. It matters to us now.
Yes. And then the magic happens.
You learn a new idiom on Tuesday, and suddenly you hear it in a pop song on Wednesday, and a movie on Thursday.
It feels like a crazy coincidence, but it's just your reticular activating system finally paying attention to the language that was always surrounding you.
You are literally training your biology to help you learn. It's proof that your brain wants to help you, as long as you point it in the right direction.
Exactly.
Let's do our final vocabulary spotlight from Emily to bring this all together. 2 phrases that sum up the ideal environment perfectly. First is low stakes.
Low stakes. A practice environment that is safe, with very little to lose if things go wrong.
And our final phrase is a wonderful idiom, fall into place.
Fall into place.
When something falls into place, it means that after a long period of hard work or confusion, things finally become clear and easy. The puzzle pieces fit together.
If you consistently use low-stakes practice and 1% habits, your English will eventually fall into place.
Fall into place. It's a very comforting thought. So let's look back at the journey we've taken through these sources today.
We started by identifying the root of the problem, that paralyzing fear of speaking.
Language anxiety and the perfection trap that keeps learners silent. We learned we have to ditch that perfectionism.
We explored how mental translation is like missing the bus, and realized that native speakers value connection over correction.
Then we transitioned into action. We embraced the math of the 1% rule.
We discovered that pushing past the awkwardness of self-talk in our kitchens and shadowing native speakers builds massive muscle memory over time.
Finally, we learned that books aren't enough. We have to plant our habits in good soil.
Creating low-stakes environments, like AI partners, to practice without fear.
And leveraging our biology by using active listening to turn on our brain's RAS filter. That brings us to a final, specific challenge from the source text.
The Mirror Challenge.
Yes. Your homework from the Easy Talk English hosts is simple, but it carries a lot of psychological weight. Walk up to a mirror today, look yourself in the eyes, smile.
Because smiling actually tells your nervous system that you are safe.
Right. Smile and say these 3 sentences out loud. I am listening. I am learning something new. I am proud of myself.
You absolutely should be proud of the effort you're putting in.
But keep in mind a stern warning from the text. Knowledge is just noise without action.
All of the tricks and habits we discussed today mean nothing if you don't take the first physical step.
Try just 2 minutes of self-talk today. Wash the dishes or walk to the bus stop and just narrate your life in English for 2 minutes.
Because progress, no matter how tiny or flawed, is always better than waiting for perfection.
Before we sign off, I know you had one final thought you wanted to leave our listeners with today.
I do. It's something to mull over that builds on the science we just discussed, but takes it a step further.
Yep.
We talked about the RAS, right?
The reticular activating system, the red car effect.
Exactly. We know it trains your brain to notice the vocabulary words you actively focus on. It highlights whatever you tell it is important.
Right.
Consider this application. What would happen if you actively commanded your RAS to focus only on your communication successes instead of your grammatical mistakes?
Oh, wow.
Because most learners accidentally train their brains to only notice when they stumble over a verb or mispronounce a word. They highlight their failures.
They tell their RAS that mistakes are what's important.
Yes, but what if, every single day, you forced your brain to only highlight the moments where you successfully connected with someone? Could you literally rewire your brain's biology to only notice how much you are improving?
If you deliberately programmed your RAS for success.
Could you make language anxiety physically impossible?
Rewiring your biology to make anxiety impossible, that is a truly profound concept to take with you into your next conversation.
It really changes the whole approach.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We've really enjoyed breaking down these strategies with you.
Keep practicing, keep taking those 1% steps, and most importantly, keep your focus on connection rather than perfection.
Keep smiling and keep speaking. Until next time.